Hey there. So I thought what I would do this time is a little different. Instead of just actually having something pop up that you can download, I thought I would show you how I actually make a part in something like SketchUp. Okay? We were just doing this thing with the LCD, and I'm not much of an artist, but I guess what I want to do is I want to have something I can use sort of universally. Alright, so a little platform here that'll hold the LCD. I've got all these pins here, so I'm going to make a cutout like that, something like that. Probably going to want to have nice curved edges on it. Okay, and then from a side view, I guess I'm picturing something not very thick. I want to have a piece that comes down with a hole in it. Okay, so I can mount it on some sort of pivot. And then to make it sort of universal for my robot, I'm picturing something like, oh, I don't know, like a wishbone, something like this. Like this. Yeah, I told you I'm not a very good artist. And something that'll span over the electronics, or maybe a battery pack. Come up like this. And then this be slotted with a hole through there. So that way this piece sits inside of here. I can tighten it up and I can set the angle any way that I want. Okay? So that's what I'm going to try to draw, and I'm going to try to do the whole thing here in my less than 15-minute goal. So let's take a look here. Here's SketchUp. I like to use let's see if I can show you here. Preferences and template. I like to use woodworking millimeters. Okay, a lot of stuff gets published in millimeters. I'm a science guy, so everything we do is in the metric system. It's kind of natural for me. But when you do download a piece of electronic or something, almost always it's in millimeters. So let's just go with that. And if you don't have one yet, let me go back to this camera. You should get one of these. They're really nice for making some measurements. It's going to make your life so much easier. They're pretty cheap. In fact, let me show you here. If you go to Harbor Freight, it's 20 bucks. It's sort of the regular price. If you live near one, they always have them in stock. There's almost always a 20% off coupon. A lot of times these things are on sale for like 15 bucks. Okay, so I would recommend getting one of these. I wouldn't swear by this. I wouldn't rebuild the engine to your car on this, but for measuring the distance between holes and whatever else, I think they're actually pretty good. So let's go back now to SketchUp. Actually, let's go back over here. Let's make a rough idea how big we want this thing to be. I'm going to turn this on. So I want it to be, I want a little room to grow in case I want to put other things in there. Let's go with 90. We're going to make it 90 millimeters. Okay, and then let's make it, I'll get this up here so you can all see it. I'm going to say, I think 40. Gives us some room to play. By 40. And so let's find the distance between these holes. If I use the caliper like this, I can see that I get 28.63. Let's open up a calculator. 28.63 plus, let me move this over here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm now going to take the outside. So first I measured the inside. Okay, now I'm going to measure the outside, and we find it to be 33.5. 33.5 divided by 2. We find that the holes are basically, these holes here, about 31 millimeters. And let's do the same thing on these. I'm going to measure the inside. Okay, it's 72.6. Let's clear that. 72.6. I'm going to make the holes a little oversized, so it's not going to matter too much. We'll be in the ballpark. And 77.6 and we find that this is about 75 millimeters. Okay, I think we got all the measurements we need. Let's get this thing knocked out here in the next 10 minutes or less. Okay, so here we are in SketchUp. I said I want something that's 90 millimeters by 40 millimeters as my basic piece. So I'm going to start with a rectangle tool. I'm going to roughly throw something out. I'm going to use my keyboard to type in 90, 40, shrinks down to an itty bitty bit, and I'm going to zoom on extents and use this tool to kind of rearrange it so we can see it. There's our overall piece. I always find it easiest in the long run to reverse its faces right away. My printer doesn't like it if it's not reversed, so make sure everything's white. Let's start taking, there's probably better ways to do this. I'm just going to show you the way I do it. I like to find myself some axes. I'm going to erase these eventually. So I'm going to the midpoints here. And actually, let's do this. I'm going to now zoom out a bit. I'm going to make another rectangle right here. And I'm going to make it the size of the holes we needed, which are 75 and 31. 75, 31. Okay. I'm now going to delete the inner part right here. And I'm going to select this, and now I'm going to take it from the center and I'm going to move it to the center. Okay, so now I know where those holes go. So let's zoom back in. I'm going to put some holes in here. I want them to be through holes. I'm going to set screws all the way through, so I'm going to go with a 2 millimeter hole. You know what you don't see me doing is I'm getting it, I can make any size hole I want, and then I'm going down here to type 2, and it's going to make it a radius of 2 millimeters. Okay. Any size I want, 2, enter. Okay. So now I've got those mounting holes in here, which is awesome. The next thing I'm going to do is I like to make my corners chamfered a little bit, give it nice smooth edges. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to the midpoint and go till it turns pink, tangent on a line, double click, and now midpoint. This is why I put these long lines in here, give me reference points. I mean, if I was really designing something important, I would have exact measurements. I'm just looking for aesthetically pleasing. Okay, cool. We are getting there fast. Now we need to make that piece that's going to stick up, that's going to have the hole in it, or we're going to have a pivot. The way I would do this is, let's jump back here. I mean, I'm thinking that it should probably be, maybe about that wide, and maybe that tall. It seems about right. So let's go 15 millimeters tall, about 15 millimeters wide, and then the thickness of it, I don't know, I think 3 millimeters looks pretty reasonable. It's just going to have a screw through it with a pivot, so let's make it 3 millimeters by 15 millimeters. So let's jump back over here. So I'm going to want to put it right in the center, so I'm going to dab this thing here, and actually I'm going to make it come on, give me this piece here. What's going on? Hold on. I probably chose, let's get this back. There we go. I'm going to actually make it, this quarter of it, be half of 15, 7.5, comma, 1.5. Okay? So now I've made 1/4 of it. I'm going to do that down here. I'm going to take it 7.5, comma, 1.5. You'll see why here in just a moment. And actually this one I'll probably just go down here, and I'm going to make this 15, comma, 1.5. Okay, now I have this piece here. I can start erasing stuff, get rid of all my reference lines, get rid of all this junk. Oh, we're at 10 minutes. I still don't have a part. Let's see if I can finish this. I should have paused it when I'm erasing. Oh, shoot. We need to put the little cutout. Alright, so if this is the bottom we're looking at right here, if this is the bottom that we're looking at, that means I need to make the cutout over here on this side. Okay? So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. I'm just gonna make it fairly good size. It doesn't really matter. We'll try to make it symmetrical. Actually, I'm going to get closer to the hole. I want it right about there. And then we're going to go symmetrical. Like that. Okay, cool. I think we've got the basic idea down. Now let's take and give ourselves a little bit of a spin. My printer, I'm going to print this thing at 0.3 millimeters. So the best thing to do is do all your work in increments that are divisible by 0.3. So I'm going to raise this up. I'll raise it up to 2.1 millimeters. And this guy, I'm going to raise it up 15 millimeters. And now I'm almost certainly got some mess down here I have to straighten up. So it's hollow, not a problem. We're going to go from here to here and just draw a line. Okay, and that sort of fills it all in. Now I can erase all these lines like this one, and I can take this and delete it, that and delete it, that and delete it, that and delete it, and delete that. And then I'm going to reverse this face, because remember I want everything to be white. Oh, I got a funkiness here. Let's get rid of that. There we go. And let's spin her back around. Nice. Now let's deal with this. I'm going to do my reference line thing again. Midpoint to midpoint. Midpoint to midpoint. I think I'm going to put my hole up here. I'm going to make it 2 millimeters again so I can put a screw through it. And let's make it pretty. I'm going to take this tool here. Wait, actually, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to delete this chunk here, that, and that. And now I'm going to take this and go to the tangent, this, and go to the tangent. Actually, we have to do that on this side. And again, I'm going to put a reference line down the midpoint to midpoint. And here to the tangent. Here to the tangent. And now I need to draw a couple other lines. I need to go to the endpoint, endpoint, and endpoint, endpoint. Now I can take this guy and I can shove this over. That's nice. And now let's draw another line here from the endpoint, endpoint, spin it. Endpoint to endpoint, and let's push this guy away. Excellent. We are nearly done. Erase our reference line, spin this guy around, get rid of these reference lines. Oh no, 10 seconds. Darn. And push it through 3 millimeters.